What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bodacious Rant. You're joined by your awesome host, Burn and Rye. Hope everyone's had a great week so far. Hope everybody's in good spirits. Especially with the weather kind of get back. It's definitely starting to feel more like spring/summer. It was a little hot this last weekend, but
it's toasty. I'm sweating. I don't like it.
Ew. If you guys haven't checked out our Evil Dead Rise review, be sure to check that out. It's up. It's not spoilers, so see what our thoughts are on that movie, if it's worth it for you. But we're also going to be reviewing the other movie that came out this last weekend, one I've been looking forward to for a while as well, which is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Dar Salim. And this is also non-spoilers. We're not going to go too in-depth with it, so please do not forget to give us a like, ring the bell, and of course subscribe. We always appreciate it, and we love you guys. So this movie takes place in 2018 Afghanistan with Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't think he's special forces. I just know he's an army officer, and him and his unit are charged with finding explosives and stuff from the Taliban, and he gets partnered up with a new interpreter. What was his name again? Do you remember?
Ahmed.
It was Ahmed. Okay, Ahmed, and needless to say, it just leads into a crazy. They get into some crazy missions, only being together a short time, and due to certain circumstances, they have to help each other survive Taliban country, and as well as they're basically just helping each other survive in this whole story. While it is not based on a true story, I'm sure there are aspects of it that were, some soldiers and stuff went through with their interpreters just because.
Oh, is it not? I could have sworn it was based on a true story. They have like images and stuff of the two guys, that the movie's based on, within the movie. So I assumed that this is based on a true story.
You want to let me double check? No, the movie's not true. Well, I'm just Googling it real quick. It's not a true story, but it's a reflection of the dangerous experience of troops who served in Afghanistan, particularly what happened. Yeah, so it's not necessarily like a true story. It's just like it's almost like paying homage to the interpreters and to like the men and women who served in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. I was a little confused by that too, because I think a lot of people are confused by that, but I think it's just kind of like just a homage to all that stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And needless to say, Guy Ritchie's been on a roll the last few years. We had The Gentleman, Wrath of Man. I know his most recent movie this year, Operation Fortune, was kind of hit and miss with a lot of people. That was kind of on par with the other two, like more style and almost comedy-wise. This is like the most serious movie I think he's done in a while. And man, it was such a trip. I really enjoyed this movie. Bern, what were your thoughts on all of it?
Yeah, when you hear Guy Ritchie, you think of, like the very flashy cuts, really snappy dialogue, and, the story about, like, gangsters and stuff. So, he's hearing that he was going to make a movie about, like a military movie. I was like, oh, okay, like, I wonder what that would look like. And if you had told me what I would think of, this would not be it. This was much more, not very playing to his usual, directorial, like, eye stuff. Like, he's very much like it's almost as if that this could have been directed by a different filmmaker. Almost like it's like, there was a lot of really good work here. That not to say that his work wasn't good before. It's just it seemed a lot more mature this time around. And I didn't think Guy Ritchie had like this kind of movie in him. Almost where it's like really the power is within the performances. Of our two central actors and the story and the way he presents it is it doesn't have that usual flash of his previous work. Like it's much more toned down and it's much more about like showcasing this crazy like event that happens in the movie. And I was like, wow, this is by the time it ended, I was like, this is really well done. Like this is like a really well put together movie that if you told me Guy Ritchie like didn't direct this movie, I would have believed you. I was like, okay, like it's probably someone else made it, but the fact that it is Guy Ritchie like shows like like you mentioned, like the last few movies that he's made, he's been really growing as a filmmaker. Not relying so much on his style so much, but really like injecting some substance into his movies and getting us to really care about like these characters that we're actually seeing. So yeah, this was a lot better than I was expecting. Coming into it.
Yeah, like kind of looking back on it, he's almost kind of done what Taylor Sheridan did with his like little mini trilogy with Sicario. The oh my god, I forgot what it was, something Hell or High Water and Wind River, where they had commentary on like some big social like dilemmas or debates in United States. And this one, these are actually like Wrath of Man, Wrath of Man, Gentleman, and this one kind of commented on several things. Like he talked about, cannabis and its effect on the world and like the industry essentially. And Gentleman, given it was more a mobster movie, but he kind of made some commentary on that. Wrath of
Mm.
Man, kind of like how he treated like military in a certain aspect with some of those characters and organized crime. And then this one just talks about it really has a lot of commentary on like the war in Afghanistan as well as our interpreters who really helped out our soldiers out there. So I thought it was just very interesting. Like it's kind of cool when directors like kind of do that. They mask certain commentary with these kinds of movies.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Jake Gyllenhaal was another just powerhouse performance. Like he's great, even when it's a bad movie, which I haven't seen him do in a while. He's always awesome. I think one of my favorite movies is still End of Watch with him to this day, just because he did such a great job in that. But Dar Salim is really the one to watch in this movie, in my opinion. He
Oh yeah.
is, and I know Jake has been hyping him up a lot on social media and stuff like with this movie, saying, I'm just some guy, but he's the real star. And I do agree with him, like it's not like he's just putting him on just to advertise the movie. It's like, no, you're giving praise to this guy. He deserves it. He's awesome. Can't wait to see him in more stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Having said all that, my rating for this one is going to be a 4 out of 5 rantings because it's such a strong movie. I think this is definitely one for everyone to see. Because yeah, while it's pretty dramatic and is about the war and stuff, it's just the actors are really worth it, and the whole story behind survival and just kind of being there for your fellow soldier is really just it's very heartfelt and heartwarming.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as you mentioned, Jake Gyllenhaal is great, and everything is in, and it's really cool with his recent like acting choices. Picking really interesting roles with directors that aren't at necessarily at the at the top. Making these huge big budget movies, but more like mid level like budgeted movies like this one last year's Ambulance. So it's like he's working with some really good directors that are putting out some of like interesting work. So I think that his choices and his roles lately have been really good. And then, of course, he's gonna nail it in everything he's in. But yeah, this is very much Dar Salim's movie. I don't recognize him from anything else. I know he was supposedly in Game of Thrones. I can't remember which character he was, but for the most part, this is his first like big movie in the States, I think, and his first like big starring role. And he takes the ball and runs with it. Like this is very much his movie. I know he's the emotional core of this movie, and he's really good. And I would definitely like to see him in a lot more things. What you got?
For the Game of Thrones, he was actually one of the Dothraki guys. I think he was the he was one of
Mm.
the ones that tried to essentially when Khaleesi kind of found her way back to the Dothraki and recruited her second army essentially. He was one of the dudes that got burnt alive. Where she walked
Ah,
out,
okay.
so I think that's who he was. So I was like, I can see it now. I get it.
Well, that was a while back. So
Yeah,
this is definitely like something that again like it's just like a like hopefully this proves to be like a new like launching point for him because he was great in this and yeah, although it is like a military movie, it's I would say it's more of like a soldier movie. This is very story is very much about these two men and them going to great lengths in protecting each other and and going out of their way and helping each other and I thought that emotional core really like made this movie different from a lot of other like military stories that we've seen in the past. And the fact that again Guy Ritchie made this is pretty crazy. And I do want to shout out the score for this movie done by Christopher Benstead. I mean, he's done the last few Guy Ritchie movies, in particular, like Wrath of Man. That score really stood out to me, and I don't know if I mentioned it in our review of that one, but for this movie, I think this is one of my favorite musical scores of the year so far because it really like injected a lot into the scenes and really added to the tension and with everything going on in the movie. But yeah, I thought it was really well done. Did feel a little bit long in the tooth, which was interesting because it's just shy. It's just shy over 2 hours, but it did feel a little bit long at points. But again, just the emotional bond between these two guys and the things that they go through in this movie really solidified it as one that I think people should watch. And I know it's flying under the radar, but I think people should definitely go check this one out too. So I will also give this one a 4 out of 5.
Sweet. And actually, recant my statement on which character it was. He was in the. I think he was in the very first season of Game of Thrones. He was just one of those Dothraki that did not like Khaleesi and what she was trying to do with that tribe. So at least I think so. That's just what some pictures I found were doing. So, either way, if you want to rewatch it just to find Dar Salim or watch clips, go for it. Just that way, maybe you can correct us on that. But if anyone did happen to see it this last weekend or recently, let us know. What did you think of it? Did you love this movie? Did you not care for the commentary on it? Was it just not interesting, or did you absolutely love it? We love to know in the comments to keep that conversation going. Like I said, we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming up. We got that Sisu movie coming out this week, as well as Return of the Jedi making its return to theaters. No pun intended. So, it's always fun to see another old school Star Wars movie, given I'm sure it's probably going to have all the new effects in it, unfortunately, but who cares? It's still Star Wars.
As long as we get that singing alien, I'm there. Okay.
I like that singing alien. She's cool.
Me too.
Yeah, it's always a fun
guilty pleasure.
Yeah, but let us stay tuned for those reviews. Those reviews and stuff coming out. As always, don't. Oh my God, I can't talk right now. I'm so tired. Stay bodacious and keep on ranting for the both of us.
Yeah, we're all hanging on by a thread, people. But as always, be good, be safe, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.